What's new, crew? Welcome back to another What's for Dinner video. I'm not going to talk too much in the beginning of this video, but if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up. That helps me know to make more of these. I'll leave my What's for Dinner playlist down below. These are all super budget friendly, easy family meals, perfect through the week. These meals are typically made within 30 minutes or less. That's just how we roll around here. Easy, quick, somewhat healthy. That's what we do here. I'm feeding 5 people, 3 children, so they're kid-friendly meals as well. So I'm gonna hop in and show you guys all of my meals. Tonight for supper, we're doing an Aldi take and bake pizza. This is their mega meat one. Just me and the kids tonight, so easy pizza. And I also prepped this big salad. When I put salad in my fridge, I like to just do a basic salad and then we'll add in toppings. And then we'll add in whatever anybody wants, whether that be tomatoes, ham, hard-boiled eggs, croutons, or whatever. But this is just our basic salad mix and our pizza. Tonight I'm showing you guys how to make some pasta carbonara. This is a very new recipe for me. This is the second time I'm making it, but it's so good. We use turkey bacon in ours, just makes it a tad bit healthier, maybe, maybe not. Regular bacon is totally good too, or even if you had bacon bits or something like that. But you're gonna need bacon of choice, some minced garlic, 1 pound of spaghetti, some Parmesan cheese, and 4 eggs. So to start, I've got my salted water getting ready to come to a boil. Once I drop my pasta, I'll show you guys the next step, which is just putting some of this minced garlic in a pan with our bacon, and I'm going to chop it all up, get that nice and kind of like cook. We're gonna cook all that off, and then we're gonna add it into a big mixing bowl with our eggs. We're gonna use 2 full eggs and then 2 just yolks with 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. Kind of toss that all together, and that's gonna be our pasta carbonara. So just a really quick rundown for you. I also pulled these I also pulled some of these Hawaiian sweet rolls out of my freezer. They're still pretty frozen, but I'll throw these in the oven once my pasta is, probably once I drop my pasta. But I'll bring you guys step by step and show you guys exactly how I'm actually gonna throw this all. The recipe does not call for oil, but I'm putting in about I'd say half a tablespoon, just so my garlic doesn't stick to the bottom. I'm actually gonna cook down this garlic a little bit. I'll let it just kind of do its thing here for probably 2 minutes or so before I throw my bacon in, just so I'm not throwing my bacon into raw garlic, because that can be kind of a lot. So just a tip from me to you. The way the recipe is going to tell you to do this, I'm linking below, is to cook the bacon in the pan, then remove the bacon, then to put the garlic in the bacon fat, like in the rendered bacon fat. But because I'm using turkey bacon, mine isn't gonna render anything anyways, so that's why I'm doing it this way. If you're doing regular bacon, you could do it the way the recipe wants you to do it, or the way I just did it. Personally, I don't really think it makes a difference, but what do I know? I'm gonna show you guys, just so I can show you guys what this is. It's 2 full eggs and then 2 just egg yolks. I'm gonna whisk this together and then dump in 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. This is just straight from the jar, I don't know, shaky can thing. If you wanted to be extra, you could get a block of Parmigiano Reggiano and grate it yourself. Mama doesn't have time for that. So I'm gonna whisk this together, dump in my cheese, then I'm gonna mix in the garlic and bacon, and then I'm gonna dump in my noodles. So I'll show you guys that process. But I also have a baby on my hip, so no judgment. Alrighty, so right here we're whisking together all of those eggs and then dumping in that 1/3 cup parm, whisking that really well, adding in our bacon and garlic, and then you're going to see me dump in our noodles here, and then once those are tossed, I decided I was going to go ahead and throw in some parsley flakes. This would have been a lot easier if I would have added those in when I was just whisking the eggs together, but live and learn. Giving it another good mix, and then being ready to serve. I just want to show you this bowl. This is after me and all 3 of my kids have had a helping of this pasta carbonara. This makes a lot. We'll eat this all for lunch tomorrow and possibly for dinner because my husband's gonna be alone with the kids tomorrow night. So this does heat up really well. I was worried that with the eggs, if I heated it up in the microwave or on the stove, that the eggs would scramble. They don't. It heats up beautifully, so don't worry about that. I'm also planning on, if I do make freezer meals, maybe making some of this to just be able to reheat it all at once. I'm not sure if anyone has done that. Let me know down below if the eggs scramble. I'm genuinely curious, but it makes a huge helping. This is a giant mixing bowl, so like I said, huge helping. So this will be a perfect large family meal, or if you want to do pasta night, you have to feed a lot of people on the cheap, this would be a great way to do it. And it's a little bit more fancy than a typical spaghetti and meatballs. You'll be able to impress your friends with a pasta carbonara, and it's pennies on the dollar, especially because we have chickens, so essentially we get our eggs for free. This is our pasta carbonara. This is really good. All my kids like it. It kind of is just like a cheesy pasta with bacon. It's kind of like mac and cheese, but a little bit healthier, maybe. I throw in parsley flakes at the end when I'm tossing it all together. That's totally optional. But we're gonna go ahead and eat this tonight with our bread. I am getting ready to marinate my meat. I have this pack of stew meat. It's just shy of 3 pounds. I got this from Walmart. I'm gonna try to stretch this for 2 meals, but we'll see what happens. But I'm going to marinate half of this meat for some steak fajitas, a little bit of beef base, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and some seasoned meat tenderizer, and I'm going to squeeze this half lemon on it as well. So here we are marinating our meat. I took about half of that steak package. I used the other half for a separate meal, but I don't always film every single night for my What's for Dinner, so I actually used the other half of that in a stroganoff hamburger helper. But I started with my spices. It was just a little bit of meat tenderizer, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and then I went ahead and squeezed that half lemon over the top of that, put it back in my fridge, and let it marinate pretty much all day. Later that day, when I was ready to actually start cooking, I diced up 2 green bell peppers and about a whole onion that I had left over in my fridge from other meals. I used those up. And of course, we're moving to the Dutch oven. If you don't have a Dutch oven, no problem. You could do this in a crock pot or just a regular skillet. A little bit of oil, dumping in our meat with all of the juice that was in the bottom of that bowl. That is flavor. Dump it in. Of course, letting that start in the Dutch oven, caramelizing, getting delicious. Once that was cooked, or closer to being cooked, I dumped in all of our vegetables, closed the lid back up, let it do its thing. So I did not have a fajita packet, which would have been ideal for fajitas. However, taco seasoning works just as well. Went ahead, threw that in. My kids don't really like fajitas that much. Not when I do steak anyways. It's a little bit too much for them to handle. So they got some cheese quesadillas. They love it that way. Me and Joe ate the fajitas, and that was dinner for the said night. I'm going to show you guys how to make the easiest crock pot mac and cheese of life. I got this recipe off of Pinterest, like most of my recipes. I'll link this down below, but it's 4 cups of milk, 16 ounces of your noodle of choice, 3 cups of cheese of your choice, 12 ounces of evaporated milk, which is just 1 can, and then 8 ounces of cream cheese, which is a block of cream cheese. However, I'm going to be making some changes to the recipe just for personal preference that I'll be sharing with you guys as we kind of throw things together. We are going to be using these shells. My kids like different shapes of noodles. I'm sure I'm not the only one who does, or whose kids do, so I'm going to dump this in. So a little bit of a YouTuber fail. I thought I was recording, I wasn't. Spray the crap out of your crock pot with olive oil, spray, Pam, whatever. If you don't have a crock pot liner, dump in your whole box of noodles. It's 16 ounces, 1 can of evaporated milk, and I'm gonna follow that with 4 cups of milk. The recipe calls for 8 ounces of cream cheese, which is a whole block. I'm going to use half of a block just for our preference. It was a little rich the last time we made it because of all the extra cream cheese. So I'm going to do half of that. And then I'm going to follow that right in with 4 cups of milk. And then I'm going to add in our spices that we use. Obviously preference, but we're going to use Lawry's, pepper, and then a little bit of garlic and some onion powder. And then I'm going to throw in well, I suppose let's just dump it in here. The best part, the cheese, I'm using Colby Jack just because that's what I have on hand. Of course, cheddar, whatever you want. So this does not take that long to cook at all. It's 1:30. It only takes about 3 hours or so to cook. I'm gonna turn mine on low, periodically come and stir it, do all of those things, and then once it's closer to being done, I'm actually going to cut up this turkey kielbasa. It's frozen right now, so I'm just waiting for it to thaw. And then I'll throw this in the crock pot when it has about an hour left or so. You could also add in vegetables, anything that you think would sound good in a mac and cheese. You could do hot dogs, turkey bacon, potatoes if you wanted to. You could do a ranch packet and make like a chicken bacon ranch mac and cheese. You can definitely get creative. That's why I like this recipe so much, because you can add different things. It's like a whole different meal. We'll do peas, green beans, sometimes we'll do cauliflower or broccoli. So that's why I like this meal so much, because you can change out what you put in it and it's like a whole separate entity. So that's what we're gonna do. Here's a look at that mac and cheese once everything was said and done. I don't really know what happened this time. The other time I made it, it was not this grainy, but it was still good. We ate it. Questions a lot on how I utilize leftovers, so I thought I would show you guys this as a prime example. I'm gonna be making a tortellini vegetable soup, pretty much. So I just got these tortellini at Aldi. I had never seen them there before, but they're tortellini stuffed with herbs and chicken. That's why I have no other meat up here. I'm going to be using these tortellini as my meat products, but I'm also going to mix in some of this cheese tortellini just because that's what I typically make this with, and I want to throw a couple of these in there just because I can. A whole onion, celery, your carrots. I'm gonna put in a little bit of cabbage just because if I'm doing the vegetable soup, I'm gonna do it all the way. So I've got some cabbage here. And then this is my soup base. This is chicken, if my camera will focus a little bit here. This is chicken. They also have vegetable or beef. I have made this exact soup with a vegetable base. It's just as well. We just prefer it with chicken, so I'm gonna use chicken. However, if you wanna be super lazy, which I have made this 100 times with a packet like this. These are a frozen bag of peas and carrots. I'll take this and just throw it in my soup frozen once my soup is kind of coming together. If I have other leftovers, I'm gonna use over. So in this Tupperware is leftover green beans, and then I have leftover corn right there. So say I didn't have any of these fresh veggies here, and I'm looking around my house and I've got a lot of leftovers in my fridge that are vegetables. I almost always throw them in a soup or a casserole because they're just easy throwaway items, basically. Good fillers for those. So if I didn't have those, I would go downstairs in my freezer. If it's the end of the month, I probably don't have a lot of fresh stuff left anyways. I'm gonna look for a bag like this, peas and carrots, or if I'm being super lazy and I just don't wanna deal with the fresh vegetables, I'll grab a bag like this, dump it in my soup pot with all my leftover veggies, kind of get those going in my chicken base here. I'll dump in noodles, dumplings, tortellini, whatever. Sometimes I'll throw in whatever leftover meat I have in my fridge, or I'll just go down in my freezer and grab a chicken breast or some cubed steak or something like that and cook that and then throw that in my soup. But it's a good way to utilize your leftovers if you don't have a ton of fresh stuff, or you don't want to deal with all the fresh stuff, which I totally get. I don't want to either all the time, but my son is currently napping. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I am actually going to prep these vegetables right now and put them in a bowl, so that way when I'm ready to throw them in my soup pot, I have them ready to go and I can just dump them in. But I'm going to show you guys this whole process of the soup making, plus how I'm going to use up these leftover veggies as well, so you guys can see how that works, because you guys have been wanting more real life examples of how to get rid of vegetables or leftovers in general out of your fridge. So you guys will be able to see that today with this soup. So I wanted to give you an example also of, say I didn't have any vegetables and all I had was leftover chicken in my fridge. I would go down to my freezer and grab a bag like this of mixed vegetables. I always keep these in my freezer. This is a 2-pound bag from Walmart. These are pretty inexpensive. I think they're $2 or $3 for this big bag. And I like to have these because these are perfect lazy soup backings, because there's everything in here, right? You have the carrots, the green beans, the corn, the peas, everything's in here ready to go. And you can just dump these in your soup base with whatever meat of your choice, whether that be beef, chicken, turkey, whatever you wanted, or just a completely vegetable, like a vegetable soup with just vegetable soup base. That would also be amazing as well. So these are super inexpensive and a great way to stretch any meal at all. And of course, use up those leftovers so you don't waste them. So in my first bowl, I have 4 carrots that were peeled and diced, and then 2 stalks of celery in here. This is my scrap bowl for my chickens. But in a separate bowl, I'm putting my cabbage, because the cabbage I'm just going to put in right at the end. It only takes a couple seconds to wilt down. Well, a couple minutes. It takes a couple minutes to wilt down. But if I put this in at the beginning where I put in my root vegetables, it's going to become mush. So I'm going to keep these separate. And I will also link down below if I can find a link for this bowl set. I got a set for Christmas. They're Viking bowl sets, and they have like the sticky grip on the bottom. They come in a set of 5 or 6. They all have lids. They're the best thing. I use them for everything. I actually got rid of all my other bowls except this glass one here. Got rid of everything else. These are my new favorite thing. I use them everywhere. Perfect, but because they're grippy on the bottom, they don't go anywhere. They're perfect for baking. I literally love these things. So if I can find a link for them, I will. But that's that. So now that I have all my fresh vegetables prepped, minus my onion, because I always do that last, I'm actually going to open up these green beans, and I'm going to chop these up into smaller pieces and then throw them right back into this container. So I'm dicing up my green beans just because I have small children, and a whole green bean is a little bit much for them to eat, especially in a soup. You want everything to fit on the spoon, right? So we're dicing these up into smaller, more manageable sized bites of green beans. And then I went ahead and diced that onion up as well. I just didn't film that. So a couple hours later, I went to actually make my soup. We're bringing out that infamous Dutch oven again, little bit of olive oil, and just a hint of garlic. I'm going to go ahead and let that cook down in my pot. And then once that happened, I went ahead and added in all those root vegetables we prepped earlier. You want these in the bottom of your pot for a handful of minutes so they can begin to soften. If you add in your liquid too quickly, they're going to take forever and a half to cook basically in that liquid. So your onions are going to start to turn yellow, your carrots are going to start to soften a little bit, and that celery, once that happens, go ahead and dump in your water. I typically do 6 cups of water in my soups. That's just what I tend to like for broth ratio. And then we're adding in our spices, which are pepper, a whole lot of basil, some bay leaves. You could also add Italian seasoning, salt, whatever is your preference. However, I would definitely recommend basil. Adds a lot of flavor. Also, can we appreciate the 1-year-old that is standing on top of my island? You'll see him here in a second. He's going to go peekaboo when I move. Did you see him? He's going to be there. Does anyone else's child decide that they just want to be a monkey and climb up on everything, or is that just a boy thing? Someone let me know. And of course, adding in our soup base here, there's directions on top of the can for how many tablespoons you need per cup of water. And of course, I'm getting my big pot ready for my tortellini making purposes. So once my carrots are actually really soft, I take them out, I test them, I eat them. If they're still crunchy, don't add in your leftover vegetables or anything. They need some more time to cook. If they're soft, go ahead and dump in those veggies. So that's what I'm doing. All my leftovers are now in the pot, and then you're going to see me here add in my cabbage as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and re-lid the pot and continue to let those kind of cook off, marinate some flavor while my tortellini are cooking separately. And then once those are cooked, we're going to go ahead and add those into the pot where all my vegetables will already be cooked down. And then I like to let it simmer just for a handful of minutes to all develop the flavor and give that tortellini a second to suck in all of that broth, because that's what makes it taste exceptional. And then you guys are going to see the finished product here in a second. And I don't know why I decided to make this in my teeny Dutch oven. I have a 16-quart soup pot that I should have made this in. Lesson learned. But this is our finished soup, and then I made hot ham and grilled cheeses, or just grilled cheeses, for anybody who wanted them with that Texas toast you guys saw me get in my Walmart haul. That video was up Friday. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this What's for Dinner video. Like I said in the beginning, my What's for Dinner playlist will be down below. If you are needing more inspiration or just more food in general, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. It's at Cassie and Crew, and of course I will see you guys in another video. Bye.
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. I just got an awesome vibe, striking the wind up.